You are watching the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.tecntv.com. Hey, welcome to Permanent Associates. I'm your host, Randy Perm. I hope you all had a great week so far and everything is going to plan. If not, readjust, you'll be all right. Anywho, I hope y'all are doing all right. We got a very special guest with us today. Can't wait to talk to her because I wanted to get some updates as to what's going on out in the on the eastern flank of this battlefield of ours. And so, without further ado, we got Leah Hoops. She is the co-author of Parallel Elections: The Blueprint for Deception. Leah Hoops is a small business owner and Republican committee woman for Bethel Township in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. She previously worked as a licensed physical therapy assistant and as a Krav Maga instructor and practitioner. She devotes substantial time to training women in self-defense both physically and emotionally. She has become increasingly well known as a highly effective political activist who develops strategic and tactical political action plans and recruits experts and advocates to execute those plans. She holds an Associate's of Arts in Criminal Justice from Delaware Community College and an Associate's of Science in Physical Therapy from Harkin College. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to some and introducing to others, Ms. Leah Hoops. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome,
Good
welcome.
morning. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Leah, I had Gregory, your the other co-author. I had Gregory on a few months back. Actually, it was more than a few months ago. It was right around shortly after the release of the book Parallel Elections. So it's a year now, and if I'm not mistaken, on the website, if everyone goes to the website, they get 30% off on the books as is 1 year anniversary. Am I correct?
Yes, that was actually for the week of August 9th, but I
Oh,
can redo that 30% off since you mentioned it. Nope, as
oh,
soon
that was
as
a
we get
while
off
back
this
then.
call,
That was,
just for you, Randy.
oh, okay, okay. My bad. So, hey,
That's okay.
listeners, you're too late. Sorry. But you can still get the book though. It is a great read to get your hands on. And I want to ask you, what new developments or update on the developments that's been going on? Because I know there was some litigation efforts that was going on during the time surrounding the 2020 election
Mhm.
with the county there. So, any new developments or updates as to what's going on with that?
So how long do we have? Because there's a lot.
Let's go
Um,
for it.
All right, I'll give you the timeline here. So we submitted our evidence after we were poll watchers in the November 3rd, 2020 election. We submitted a emergency injunction and were granted that injunction after we fought our way in the counting center in Delaware County on November 4th, 2020. What we fought for was to get into a back room in which we were not allowed to see. And once we got back there, Greg, who is a forensic scientist and a fraud investigator, saw that
Hmm.
there were unopened mail in ballots. You can read all about it in the book. We submitted our information to U.S. Attorney William McSwain on November 7th. He gave that information to Bill Barr, and we found out ever since then. Here's the update. I found through a FOIA request this about a month and a half ago that Bill McSwain did give the information to Bill Barr, and that information within 2 hours was given to Homeland Security, the CIA, the Office of Inspector General, all of the U.S. attorneys across the country, the FBI, the PIN, which is the Public Integrity section of the DOJ, and everyone and their mother was given our information within 2 hours, and the investigation was completely shut down. Greg and I were never contacted. Bill Barr later said that our information, specifically his head in the January 6th testimony, that Delaware County was basically debunked. And then later on in his book said that it was BS, despite the fact that they never investigated, period, and actively shut down the investigation. On November 9th, Bill Barr came out with a nonsense memo, I'm sure you all remember, where he said, and the term was, there was no evidence of widespread fraud. Now, you can't say that you don't have evidence of widespread fraud when you aren't investigating the fraud that's across the country, which has now been proven and shows that they all committed perjury and violated their oath to the Constitution when they lied to the January 6th committee.
Yeah.
That's one update that I wanted to give you guys. That case, which we ended up finding a whistleblower, which we talk about in the book, we linked up with Project Veritas, and our whistleblower was linked up with an audio and video in which we caught the Delaware County Board of Elections and the Bureau of Elections employees committing fraud. They say it on tape. We have it on audio and video. And since then, our case is now sitting in appeals in the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, and it will be heard this fall. So that's the cliff notes on the first case, the first two cases. The next part is the developments since. We have been sued now 3 times. Two of them for defamation, and the most recent for malicious prosecution. So this is what happens when you start to tell the truth. You are persecuted by government officials. So we are being sued by James Savage, who is the voting machine warehouse supervisor, in which Greg and I witnessed him plugging in USB sticks, among other things. He has denied that and said that our book was completely false, and now he's trying to sue us in Philadelphia County, along with our co-defendant, President Trump, and Mayor Giuliani. In that case, myself and Gregory are representing ourselves pro se because we fired our attorneys because they are unethical. So what we ended up doing is representing ourselves, and I got to tell you, Randy, we are doing a fine job, and we are kicking some serious butt in court. And because of that, when you go up against these rabid left-wing Marxist attorneys like Connor Corcoran, he uses things like the First Amendment to try to go against us. On June 6th of 2023, we had a hearing in Philadelphia under a fictitious, frivolous order from Connor Corcoran called a protection from abuse order in a civil court. Now, if we were a state that had a red flag law, this would be appropriate, but we do not. So what he was asking was, and what his pleadings said, was that we were ready to use explosives, firearms, and that the court should be shut down. He feared for his life, that we should keep far away from the court and any judges. I mean, it went on, and it was insane. It was absolutely 1,000% insanity. And the reason was because he got caught committing a lot of malfeasance and fraud upon the court, and we've been calling him out on it. Wow. So we have a hearing on June 10th, and the remedy for Mr. Corcoran and Mr. Savage was to have the sheriffs come into our home, confiscate our firearms, to fine us $15,000, and to completely muzzle us. So a complete violation of our constitutional rights. The hearing never should have happened, but it did, in front of a Democrat judge. And luckily, the man is smart enough to use the law, and he shut down the case, and we won. But that case, the defamation case specifically, is going forward, and we will have a hearing in April of 2024. Now, this has been pushed out for 2 years, just in time for the 2024 election. Isn't that special?
It's always convenient, you know. it seemed like the calendar is condensed around only the election window. No other
That is
time,
correct.
no other time. It's just everything just has to happen within this window because the rest of the country is going to be shut down for the other time, the other duration of the year. It's like just silly. And when you mentioned malfeasance and what was he say? Prosecute the prosecution. Malicious prosecution. It-
Correct.
what is that? How can he say that you're coming after him maliciously when there's evidence and proof of wrongdoing?
So Greg and I have become very versed in law, and specifically common law.
Hmm.
And what for your listeners, what you need to understand is when you walk into a courtroom, you have to know that the court belongs to the sovereign, and that's the people. It doesn't belong to an attorney, doesn't belong to a judge. It belongs to the people.
Absolutely.
We've been exercising our rights, and we've been reading about common law, statutory law, constitutional law, and all sorts of things. And with common sense and some courage, you can step into a courtroom and fight for yourself. And that's what we've been doing. We've been doing it quite well. And when it comes to the interesting part is the people that are suing us, it's actually not even a person, so it's a fictitious plaintiff. And the reason why it's a fictitious plaintiff is because the plaintiff is the county and the actual solicitor from the Bureau of Elections. Now, the
Hmm.
government, okay, which is not sovereign, okay, cannot be a harmed party. You've heard this term, if people have standing, being a
Hmm.
harmed party, that's how you get relief in a court. Well, how does a county, which is to govern the people, who are you representing? What is the harm
Harm.
to what,
Exactly.
530,000 people that live in Delaware County? And wait, here's the best part. You're suing me. They are suing Greg and myself with our tax dollars.
Mm.
So first part of it is that it's a fictitious plaintiff. The government cannot be a harmed party. And the next part is malicious prosecution is nonsense. I'm not a prosecutor.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
can I prosecute?
Yeah. That's
Who?
that's
Am
that's
I a district
ridiculous.
attorney? Am I a U.S. attorney? It's not even an appropriate filing. It's fraud upon the court and it's fraud upon the people of Delaware County. And every time they do this, it just proves over and over and over again that we're over the target and we're
Hmm.
pushing their buttons and they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And not to mention the fact they open themselves up to discovery, which
Hmm.
works out well for us because they
Exactly.
continue to lie in court.
Hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does open themselves up for more investigations and other lawsuits,
Mhm.
and they can at some point they're gonna have to just give in and fold and say, okay, we're guilty, and at that juncture it'd be almost too late to really reconcile anything out of it. We'll just know the truth, and although the truth is already known, because millions of people are well aware at this point that there was something wrong with this election. There's just no doubt about it. For
Yes.
those who still deny and say, "Oh, this is a fair and most secure election in history," they're still living under a rock, or they're just playing this cognitive dissonance game that they don't want
Yes.
their worldview distorted. And it's sad that we have to deal with people like this, but nonetheless, it happens. And I want to ask you, as you're walking and working around Delaware County, and talking to different people, both from the civil side of the house, political side of the house, and what have you. What is the temperature in the room per se like in terms of the policies, the Biden administration's policies on the energy production being cut, the just the different issues that voters are facing. What has the atmosphere been like there?
So what it comes down to, and where Greg and I, where we stand apart from the corporate bodies known as the GOP and the DNC, because we're
Mm-hmm.
heated on both sides, which is fantastic to me. Um, we the people need to stop focusing on the national stuff, and you have to focus on your backyard. That's how I grew up. Everyone took care of each other. And I feel like if we got back to that and obviously got back to God, we would be in a very different place. I
Mm-hmm.
shut off a lot of the national stuff because there's nothing I can really do about it. But what I can do is I can be involved in my county. I can be involved in my township. I can talk to my neighbors. I can have
Yeah.
civil discourse. I can teach my son how to love his country. So when I walk into a room, depends on the room. If I walk into a room, a political room where the Republican Party is present, they want nothing more than for me to shut my mouth and be a good little committee woman and to do what I'm told,
Of
which
course.
hasn't panned out well for them. They would like for me and have tried to remove me as a committee woman.
Mm.
Apparently we've cost the Pennsylvania GOP $140 million in donations, and that actually warms me in places, because I know that what we're doing is the right thing. The Republican Party has enabled the communism that is now present in our government.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, I feel like that's my part in this world. What I do find is when you talk to the people, and I just mean people. And I don't talk about Biden. I don't talk about Trump. I talk about the issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
80% of the people agree on 90% of the issues. Okay. And what we're seeing just in Delaware County are the same policies, whether it comes to ESG, environmental social governance, whether it comes to surveillance, whether it comes to crime, whether it comes to sanctuary county, all of these things, raising taxes, overspending. So you can take the Biden administration and their policies, and you can apply it to your own county and see how that affects you. That's
Mm-hmm.
where you have power. And
Yep.
when you get people involved and you start uncovering these things, because they're pretty obvious and they're very honest, in the sense of they're telling you what they're doing and how they're doing it, you can make a lot of change and you can bring people together. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I pay attention to in Canada right now. Okay, Muslims and Christians are coming together to fight
Yeah.
transgender
Yeah.
ideology.
Yeah. That's a
In
beautiful. That's a
Michigan,
beautiful thing to see. That is it. Yes, I've been seeing
it
the same
is.
thing.
That's God's work. In
Yeah.
Michigan, same thing. Muslims and Christians coming together. Who ever
Mm-hmm.
thought that would happen?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
There's Republicans and Democrats that are coming together, okay, and forget all the other stuff. They're agreeing that the border issues, or even the fact that the sanctuary city, like in Staten Island, okay, where they're seeing these illegals being brought in, people are rising up.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares. Nobody's asking each other if you're Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
They fear for their safety. They fear for their
Exactly.
child. They fear about their taxes going up. They fear about losing jobs. Okay, they fear about a ton of things. So when you get down to the issues and you just talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to make it about gender, race,
Yeah.
religion, politics.
Yeah.
Talk to your neighbor. And that's what we've done this whole time, and it's well received by the people. And that's where the change needs to happen.
You're absolutely right, Leah. I totally agree with you. When I'm out and about here, and I'm down here in the the deepest blue, the blue sea of politics, Austin, Texas. And that when I'm out and about, I try to refrain from exposing my politics, not just when I have a conversation with people, just to get a idea or a sense of what they're thinking and where their head is at and a lot of things. And you're absolutely right. When you're not looking at it from a political platform standpoint, the
Mm-hmm.
issues are actually agreeable. 80-90% of the time, like you said, on a lot of the issues. And in a predominantly Hispanic community, and they are very much, although they vote Democrat, they're very much on the conservative side. They say, yeah, where it's going to be, this whole district is going to flip red come next election cycle, because we had enough of this, and the homelessness is just super rampant. um, the crime aside from the homelessness, it's not even the homeless people that's committing the crimes. It's just the influx of migrants from the southern border. they're permeating into the community and they're doing these crimes because they're not going to get caught because no one knows who they are. And so the Austin police had to bring in these state troopers to assist them in policing the community up. And so, and the community at large, they're tired of that. They're like, we're being targeted. We're hardworking everyday people, just mind our business, and we're being targeted now because no one can identify who these folks are that's committing these crimes. So now everybody's like under a dragnet type of situation where everybody's getting pulled over, everybody's getting frisked, everybody's getting searched, doors are getting kicked in because the wrong address was given. So all these things are going on, and so people are tired of it. So I see a potential red wave happening in a deep blue a deep blue city. But and as to your point, I see the same thing gonna probably likely happen in your neck of the woods there in Delaware County for the blue parts of the city, for the county rather, and same thing in New York. New York is gonna be it. I see that exploding hard red come November and beyond because I think the people there are tired of the policies that's going on there. And I want to get your thoughts about the kangaroo court system of Georgia, and what's going on with Trump and how they're looking to televise the trials. Did, I don't know why, because I think they're going to set themselves up for utter embarrassment, national embarrassment, if
Mm-hmm.
they do this, because Trump is going to take advantage of that. If it's going to be a televised thing, he's going to take advantage of it, and I see that going very very bad for the prosecution. But I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's great when your enemy's making a mistake. Let them. I mean, in a nutshell. And what we're finding more and more is every time they open up and think that they have the upper hand and try to politically persecute, it raises funds for President Trump. It raises awareness to other people who have been persecuted,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the people in the lower income class. Um, that's been happening for forever and ever. It's opening up eyes. So I think it's fantastic that they're doing all this stuff. It's unfortunate that 18 people are being indicted. Um, but what I do know is we speak with people from Georgia. One of them being Antonio Jones. He has a war room down there in Gwinnett County, which is another county that's same thing that's kind of happening in Fulton, which he's finding. And we work with people down in Georgia, and we talk about Georgia in the book. It's a blueprint for deception. The same things that happened in Delaware County happened in Fulton County. Period.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it is that we hold, when I say we, Greg and I hold exculpatory evidence to President Trump, John Eastman, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani. And who else has the exculpatory evidence is Jack Smith. And the reason why we know that is because Jack Smith has been provided with whistleblower declarations from Greg Stenstrom, including a criminal charge sheet. Excuse me, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Sorry. Um, just a little interruption there. So we have exculpatory evidence, which means we have evidence that proves that the innocence of these people. And exculpatory when you are in possession, when a prosecutor is in possession of exculpatory evidence to a defendant, and they do not present it to a defendant, that's called a Brady violation. It's
Mm-hmm.
Brady versus Maryland. It's a U.S. Supreme Court case that your listeners should look at. And this is prosecutorial misconduct
Mm-hmm.
at its finest. Fannie Willis, I mean, she's a fraud. She's a criminal herself.
Yeah.
And all of these things are being exposed with her donations and Act Blue. The fact that she does hold information that shows that of the innocence of these defendants, and she's not releasing them. They have not done proper investigations. They're abusing the system. It's fraud upon the court. It's a frivolous case. They presented to the grand jury 100% fraud against these defendants, and they've used they've turned misdemeanors into felonies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all doing it for political gain, and it's backfiring on them bigly, as President Trump said.
That shows it bigly,
Um,
yes.
you give that man a camera, um, and he's going to. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
is an intelligent human. You don't get to run that many companies. I don't care if you start off with money. You
Yep,
can blow that money
that's
just
true.
as easily as spend it. So
Mm-hmm.
the man has built an empire, okay? And he has had the same views for 30 years. You put that man in front of a camera and he's going to dominate,
Mm-hmm.
period. So by all means, I absolutely believe that
Yeah,
this should be in front of the public. Are you kidding me? I'm going
yeah.
to sit there with my popcorn and my bourbon and
you,
I'm going to enjoy the show.
exactly. I feel the same way actually. I look forward to seeing it, and although I know it's gonna be a crazy thing, it's gonna be kind of like a reminder of the O.J. Simpson trials of the '90s. It's gonna be like, okay, tune
Oh
in
my
for an
goodness.
episode. Tune into the next episode of the O.J. trials. It's gonna be tune in to the next episode of the Trump trials, and that's what it's gonna turn into. And at the end, it's gonna be we the jury find Trump and company not guilty, and it's gonna be the end of that. And so, but let's turn our attention real quick to your book, Parallel Election. Give us some insight as to what readers can expect, since they can go to the website and get it for 30% off again. Now.
Okay. Um, so what we talk about is we talk about first. Our first chapter talks about the machine in Delaware County, and it was run by Republicans for 150 years. The corruption. We talk about election fraud that's been happening since the 1800s. The money laundering that goes through prisons and utilities, and the nepotism and everything like that. So we
Mm-hmm.
go after both sides. So that should be enjoyable. Um, for anybody on either side.
Yeah.
Um, so and then we get into how we got involved, what we found, and everything that happened during the 2020 election, and the evidence that we collected, and then we do talk about even the legislation that had gone through in 2016 in Pennsylvania and all across the country that really started the transformation of our elections. And here in Pennsylvania, it was 6 months after President Trump had gotten to office, is when they started changing our election laws. And that's how we ended up with Act 77 in 2019. And this was done by Republicans because
Mm.
the GOP corporate body, which does not represent Republicans, by the way, nor does the DNC represent Democrats, they represent the Uniparty.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they said to themselves, "Oh my goodness gracious, this man is the biggest whistleblower of our history." Trump called out everybody, right? It was beautiful. The people were like, "Oh my goodness, this is
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
music to my ears," right? So they go,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, this can never happen again, never." So they transform our election system. Okay, is what they did across
Yeah.
28 states, but specifically the big ones were the swing states. They did
Mm-hmm.
it in Arizona, Wisconsin, they did it in Georgia, they did it in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. So all of these swing states completely changed their election laws first. Then they funneled in third parties, okay, to have access to our voter rolls. Then they funnel in third party money. Then they funnel in third party donations. Then you start to see the blueprint. They start using the same equipment. Okay. Then they bring in drop boxes. Then they bring in the SARS-2 virus, which was created in a lab to shut down the
Mm-hmm.
country.
Mm-hmm.
And that way they can completely obfuscate the election process.
Yep.
Okay. And
You're
keep
absolutely
us
right.
from talking to each other. Call me a tinfoil hat wearer. I wear it proudly. But
Yeah.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you that it was created, okay, to do exactly what they wanted. And the reason why we know that is if anybody pays attention, you should read Agenda 2030, okay, and understand that this was already
Mm-hmm.
implemented years ago.
Yep.
We talk
You're
about
absolutely
all of
right.
these things.
Yeah. You're
We
you're
talk
absolutely
about
right,
all of
Leah.
it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Leah. The Agenda 2030 is something else, and it should have actually been Agenda 2020 because, like you said, they already implemented. It was like
Oh, yeah.
Agenda 2010. You know,
Yes.
this was something that was in the works for a couple of decades, and it was just a matter
Yep.
of waiting to the right point in time to implement each tenant point. And you know, it's the same thing that's going on with ranked choice voting. You know, Alaska fell victim to this hard in the 2022 midterm elections to
Ugh.
ranked choice voting, and you know
Oh,
a lot of states across the country are slowly reverting or slowly converting to ranked choice voting. And a lot of people don't know what it is. They don't understand it. They don't understand the system. But that is another apparatus in which elections can and will be rigged in favor of the chosen candidate, not the selected candidate by the
correct.
population, but by the chosen candidate by these elitists. So it's something to be on the lookout for, ladies and gentlemen. Leah, final thoughts, and tell us where people can follow and support you.
Sure. So Greg Senstrom, my co-author, has a wonderful social media site called www.patriot.online. And you can actually find all of our resources, election resources, our evidence, our interviews there. You can go to www.parallelelection.com where I do monthly updates about what's going on. You can also find me on Facebook, Leah Hoops, and you can also find me on Truth Social, on Twitter, and you can also find me on Telegram. You can just type in my name, and it's Hoops, Hoopes, Leah Hoops, Leah. You can find me there. Reach out if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. I don't care what party you're from. I don't care where you're from. Please reach out. We would love to have some civil discourse with you guys. Stay in the fight. Get in the trenches. Get involved in your backyard. Most importantly, and stop complaining on social media and really get out there and get yourself involved and understanding. We have the right to do so, which is denied to many people across this world.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for the advice and for that motivation because you're absolutely right. It's been one of those days.
Mm-hmm.
I should 9 days is one of these times. But thank you so
Yes,
much for joining me today, and thank you for the updates. I look forward to bringing you back on, so you can continue to update us on what's going on in the madness up there in Pennsylvania. And be safe out
absolutely.
there.
Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless you too. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Leah Hoops joining us today to discuss their as co-author of the book. Excuse me, Parallel Election: A Blueprint for Deception. And so you got to pick up this book. You go to parallelelection.com and check out and order the book. I would encourage you to order it directly from the website versus Amazon. It's available on Amazon as well. But I would encourage you all to go directly to the website and pick it up from there. But folks, we're going to jump to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Keep it locked right here. See you in a couple minutes. You are watching the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.tecntv.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Global Impact with David McQuell, your host. Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 to 5 says that a time is coming when the church will rise in authority and influence and dominate the earth. And many nations will come and say, "Teach us the ways of the Lord." Global Impact is a show that inspires you as a Christian to rise up through the values of the kingdom of God and shine as light wherever you may be. We believe that missions is no longer limited to some isolated, unreached community in some dark continent. The church should reach out to all aspects of life, including politics, business, science and research, the media and diplomacy, and every aspect of human life. Join us on Global Impact, Monday through Friday, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. GMT. Global Impact is broadcast on tecntv.com. Join us.
Mammoth Nation is the discount club for conservatives. You get great discounts on name brand products and services, and the proceeds help candidates who support the right causes. Plus, the money you save from just one purchase can pay for your entire membership. Liberal Democrats are destroying America, and we can't let Joe Biden be president. It's time to join the fight. Strength in numbers. We give the silent majority a resounding voice. Go to MammothNation.com and let's win this fight together.
You are watching the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.tecntv.com. Hey, welcome back. So, once again, folks, if you're looking to get some decor, some decorations for your home, classroom, your office, your museum, whatever you may have, check it out. Appeal to heaven. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wickedness, ways, I will heal their land. Folks, you need this. We need these in our life. You need to order these like by mass production, and post it everywhere. Actually, that's my thing. Post it everywhere. But you can go to History America. That's historyamerica.us, and check out the different posters and materials that they have that you can order and put up. This is some great things to have. Like I say, either around the house, classroom, your office, wherever, they're small posters you could put up, take down at your leisure, and go from there. And I can't emphasize enough about the elections from 2020 and going into 2024, because the thing is this, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't fix what happened, if we don't recognize all of the minutia, all of the nuances that caused disruption of a proper election system, then we're just going to continue to face the same turmoil in 2024, 2028, so on and so forth. Never mind, the midterm elections, never mind special elections and all that. That's going to be corrupted regardless, if we don't look at and fix what happened from 2020. And that's why we keep, in the words of Dana Bash and the other clowns at CNN, is why you keep relitigating 2020, because it was broken. We see the evidence of that, so we're trying to fix it, and we're trying to ensure that this catastrophe doesn't happen again in the future. And so that's where we at, and this is not a partisan issue. It should not be a partisan issue. This should be both from Democrats, Republicans, Independents, you name it. It should be across the civil population. Everyone should have a vested interest in ensuring that our elections are secure, has integrity, and is free of as much fraud as possible. And may the best person win, legitimately. That's how it should be. Because what you don't want, ladies and gentlemen, what you don't want to have, and what you don't want to see, is us getting into this tit for tat game, rigging elections. Okay, just imagine, like, if you want to really be real about this, just imagine if what the Democrats did in 2020, and now we're cycling into 2024. Republicans have a pretty strong lead and hold in most legislatures, in most counties now, and everything else. And it kind of rotates back and forth every election cycle. But just imagine if the Republicans came in and said, "Okay, we finna now rig elections just like you did," and it goes back and forth. The power struggle will never end in that regard. And hell, the power never may be relinquished, depending on how much rigging goes on and where it's rigged at. So this is what we don't want to see, because then you're disenfranchising voters, and that is already a problem. We're already telling people that they can't vote because machines are down, because there's issues with the ballots. There's all these nefarious things that are going on with within the election system itself is already disenfranchising people. We don't need to add more complications to it by having rigged elections to favor a certain candidate over another. Let the best person win based on the actual votes of actual eligible people who are eligible to vote. And let it be that. If we Once we get back to that system, then we can kill the noise and kill the conversation about rigged elections and stolen elections and everything else. Then we can move forward as a country in that regard. But until then, we gotta be vigilant and call out the BS as we see it. Excuse me, folks. I'm gonna wrap it up here for the day. But before I go, a couple of other admin notes here. If you're looking to switch over and get secure communications within your household, you can go to forfreedommobile.com. Scan this QR code right here, or for the listeners on the podcast edition of this show, you can go to forfreedommobile.com and use the promo code RPURHAM, RPURHAM, and get your discount. You get $9.99 for your first month, and whichever plan you select from there, 10% of those proceeds will come to me to support this show, this program, and bring you great content as I try to do every week, twice a week. Also, if you're looking to switch up platforms, and as I've been encouraging everyone to do so, to get off of Facebook, go over to Wimpkin.com. Join the only social media platform that fights against child trafficking and donates to its victims. 20% of the profits that are generated on Wimpkin goes to the to child trafficking victims, and to fight against these terrible, horrible people that deserve to die a horrible death. Yes, I said it, folks. That being said, I will catch you all on Monday, God willing. God bless. I need to go soak my throat. As you can see, it's kind of like groggy for some reason or another. I don't know if it's a weather change or coming down with something, but either way, I'm feeling fine. It's just my throat is a little bit on the trippy side today. So, anyways, catch you all later. Be safe. God bless you all. Have a phenomenal weekend. There was one more thing. Sorry. It is Friday. This is the time we take to thank our men and women who are serving our nation around the world, making their sacrifices, commitments to our freedoms, our Constitution, our way of life. We thank you and we salute you, and we wish you nothing but a best, safe journey back home to your friends, family, and loved ones, wherever they may be. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will catch you all on Monday. God willing, God bless, be safe, and don't do anything that I wouldn't do, although there's a lot of things that I do that I shouldn't do. Take care. See y'all later.
We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need.
You are watching the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.tecntv.com.